write you a note. Good afternoon and welcome to the Town of Blythewood Town Council Workshop. Today is Monday, September the 8th, year 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. Ms. Durst, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Page. Councilman Brock.
Here.
Councilwoman Fripp. Councilman McHenrick.
Here.
Mayor Griffin.
Here. Thank you, ma'am. Was the agenda and meeting posted according to state law, excuse me?
Yes, sir, it was.
Thank you. At this time, I'll be looking for an approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Looking for a second.
Second.
No, they're not doing it.
If I may,
You still?
When we last met, there was an item that we indicated that we would move to this meeting. I failed personally to put that on the agenda when it was being prepared last week. That's in regard to the fiber optic cable. I have information for you tonight on that, the proposal for it. I'm going to give that to you tonight, but I have been advised that because it is an action item, that we would again, it's an action item, requires a motion, requires discussion and a second and a vote. Our city attorney has advised that unless that is an emergency item or an item of significant importance, we have to give notice of that. And so I will be placing that on your next meeting agenda. I have that item and one other item relative to an expenditure that I need to get on your agenda for your next meeting. But unfortunately, I'm not able to add it tonight.
It can be amended to, it's just a discussion item, which is what it sounds like.
Well, no, there'll have to be action because under our ordinance, the administrator has authority to move funds within line items except for the contingency line item, and that is spelled out in the ordinance. And so that would be required. And so I would need a motion and a second to do that. And it's not an emergency, it's just time is of the essence, but it's not an emergency.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Motion on the floor to approve agenda is presented. Looking for a second.
Second.
Second made. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Would you please join Councilwoman Fripp for the pledge and the invocation?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you please bow your heads for a moment of prayer. Lord, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together today. We just ask for clarity, we ask for wisdom, and we ask for sound judgment in making decisions as it relates to the town of Blythewood. We thank you for all those that are here in attendance, and we just ask that you provide us traveling mercies as we all leave this place. In Christ's name, amen.
First action item this afternoon is discussion. Item A, discussion and possible action to set manor fees policy and procedures. This will be driven by Mr. Driggers, who has handouts and other things he will present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of council, what I'd like to share with you tonight is information regarding our current ordinance, and that's what I'd like to give to you first, is information that is contained in our code of ordinances that deal with general park rules. It also deals with the setting of fees for this facility and for park facilities as well. set of recommendations relative to that. And so I'm giving that to you this evening, asking if you would please
Just turn the switch.
There we go. It's not a push. I mean, it's not a switch, it's a push. Very good. So what you have in front of you are the general rules of the facility along with what you will find later in that information as regarding the fees. That is as of what we have adopted by ordinance previously. Now, what we've discovered is that some of the information that is in the Code of Ordinances is not in the fee structure that we are currently using. It's not significantly different, but there are some examples within it that are not matching up. And so at some point, at some level, some decisions were made to make some adjustments with that, and we published a schedule that was effective January the 1st of 2025. I'm giving you a copy of that now as well. Thank you so much. And so this is the fee schedule that we are currently operating on. And we have a couple of items that, so for example, you'll see in here that the new facility outside the pavilion area, is that what we call it, pavilion? There was no fee established for the use of that. And so that's just something that we kind of caught as we were kind of going through things. And so the last thing that I'm going to hand out to you as part of this is information that was provided to me by Fred Lehman prior to Fred needing to go out on medical leave. We had an opportunity to review and talk about this. I also had the opportunity last week to submit some of this information to our staff that's here working in the facility. Wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to offer some feedback in that. I believe thank you. Nice to see you. And so I'm going to invite staff here to share some information with us about some recommendations that they have in addition to what you're going to be seeing here. And then we can just kind of talk through that a little bit. What I have to gauge in our work session this evening is understanding where you are coming from. What I need to understand, the workshop for me isn't for you to write that. What I need to know is your general direction for policy guidelines and for the establishment of fees. If I know that if we're going down a path that is not the path that council is wanting us to go down, then I need to understand that very quickly so as that we are writing those final suggestions, recommendations to bring to you for you to debate and to vote on. It's a large enough challenge that we need to be able to do that more in this environment where we can just have conversation, discussion about it. And so the intent tonight isn't to adopt. The intent tonight is to give direction so that we will write that and bring that back to you. So I'm going to go ahead and hand that information out. Kim, I'm going to ask, I think you and Walt are with us this evening, and so as we're giving this out, what I'd like to ask of them is they've come forward and they communicated with me last week that they felt that it would be very helpful to you if you had some additional information regarding the operations here within the manor, how things are, how we're operating today versus where we were, let's say, a year ago, 2 share with you. I have what they've shared with me, but we're all in a learning curve. So Kim, if I could ask you and Walt, however you guys are going to do this, they've asked for the opportunity to share some information with you, and we wanted to afford them that opportunity. So, Walt?
Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Good evening.
Good, good.
Good evening.
Well, I feel like my father, who was a minister, up on the podium. But anyway, just a brief of what I came in as 8 years ago and where I am now. 8 years ago, I was hired as a attendant, which I walked in on an event, basically at nighttime, 4 to 12, came in, whether it was a party, whether it was a wedding, I worked the back end of the wedding. My position was to make sure everyone got out safely, make sure if there was any issues, either we call Richland County, or if it was a small issue, I handled it. I worked with one staff person. He or she was there with me. We did everything we need to do. I'm going to go forward. The last 3 years, I'm still a part-time attendee, but I'm doing so many different things because we lost 4 employees. 4 employees that did setup, did tear down, clean up, move chairs, clean bathrooms, outside bathrooms, inside bathrooms. We don't have that anymore. So myself, Kim, sometimes Justice, who's a part-time employee, it's our role. I'm only allowed to be here 30 hours because I'm part-time. We don't have the staff. We don't have the staff to make this place run the way it should be ran. So we have Jonna, we have Kim. They're both full-time employees. Fred is out right now. We have 7 part-time employees, including myself. The 5 part-time employees, they all have full-time positions. Myself and Lily, which are also part-time, we're retired. So we're able to help out. With Kim and Jonna being the only 2 people here right now, whenever anyone, if they're out, I'm called in to help them out because we don't have the staff. Perfect example, after this meeting, I will be here by myself, or if Kim is available, to set for the chamber breakfast. So I'm asking, we need help. We need staff members to help us out with the teardown crew, which we have no one. It's myself. It's myself or Kim, or it's myself or someone that I'm asking to come in to help me out. I don't get out of here some nights to 1 in the morning because I have to tear down for another event. There's 3 events this weekend, all ending at 12 a.m. I will be here till 12 a.m. and then tearing down with the person that I'm working with, and then coming back at 6 in the morning to set up for the next event, then to come back and set up for the next event, which are weddings. There's 3 weddings with over 200 people this whole weekend. That's not including the shafari chairs that are downstairs in the basement that we have to bring up manually, not including the outside chairs that we have to set up for 175 people and take them down during the event, and that's myself. So my point is, I'm looking for help. I'm looking for you guys to say, hey, we can hire someone, 1 or 2 people to help you out. That would be great, and that's why I told Ed, just let council know, and the mayor, who's been coming over to try to help us out a little bit, but I just wanted you guys to know that it's just not, we come here and work an event. We are working with no staff. We don't have the staff. And I cannot go over 80 hours because then that puts Jennifer yelling at me, so I'm not trying to go that route. So, but I'm just pleading for that. If we can get some help as far as staff members to kind of help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ed? No, floor.
Hi. First of all, let me just say, I love my job here. I love serving people. That is my role, that's what I've always done, and I love this job. But as of right now, I'm tired. I'm like, it's 40 hours during the week, and then I gotta come back on weekends. I'm working 7 days a week, almost every week, because there's nobody else to do it. As Walt said, we got nothing. So I will plead that we get a little help with that. Just somebody to clean, somebody to put these dance floors down, move chairs. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So that is probably my main concern right now, is that there's too much work, and it's a skeleton crew. Like, it's not working. And my expectations of this place are so high. And I want it to run smooth. I want to serve everybody well. I want to do my job well, and I don't feel like I can do that at this level, because I'm tired. It's exhausting. So Ed wanted me to point out some things. I had a copy of Fred's suggestions, and there were some things that I personally didn't agree with, because I'm the one that's dealing with the people all the time. Everybody wants something for nothing. That's a problem. I can't do that, obviously, but we do need to make some corrections. I don't agree with everything that Fred suggested in here, but that's because I deal with the people and Fred did not. So I did address with Ed a few things. The first one being, we have a definite problem. Fred is suggesting in here about rehearsal dinners. I don't even know what page that's on exactly. Rehearsal practice, $100 per hour. We have
Kim,
never
can you-
charged for
Can
a
you tell us
rehearsal.
where you are in that?
That
packet?
is on, that's on add-ons and upsells. So that is
Gotcha.
on page 2-3, the back of page 3. We have always offered a free rehearsal time. We have never charged for rehearsal time. $100 an hour. So many times, people are not able to use that outdoor space because we have an event booked that day where they're supposed to have their rehearsal time the day before their wedding. Well, if that space is booked, they're not getting their rehearsal. So now I'm shipping them to the amphitheater or to the new pavilion. They're not using this space because they can't. So now, to suggest that we charge them for something that is not even adequate to rehearse correctly, to me, that was not a great idea. And I deal with this every day, this rehearsal problem. We don't have any kind of fee schedule for if we want to do a rehearsal dinner. I have no fees for that. I have no hourly rate to go by. I can't charge somebody $2,700 for a 2-hour time period. Like, it's not working. I need a fee schedule for that situation. It comes up every day. There's also the problem of the outdoor space. People want to use the outdoor space. They don't want to even have a reception. They just want to get married out there. We charge the pergola fee it's like $1,500 to rent the pergola area. That's crazy. They're going to be out there for 20 minutes and then they're going to leave. I really need a fee schedule for the outdoor space. If they want to use the platform, pergola, whatever. Happens all the time. I get a call probably every week about that, and I have nothing to tell them except, I'm sorry, my price is $1,500. Like, that's not reasonable, and then they'll walk. We're turning people away, and it's not even, I'm trying to make this work for people, and it's not working. That is not working at all. I'm turning people away. It's not a huge amount of money, but we're still losing that, and we're losing word of mouth. We're losing customers. because it's coming from me now, and it's sounding like, oh, you don't care about us. We got to go somewhere else and find another spot. We have another, I need to keep in place the business corporate rates. That's a huge issue, and I know Fred wanted to get rid of that. But we do so many corporate meetings during the weekdays. They can last 1, 2, 3 days in a row. If we're charging them full price without a corporate rate, we're gonna lose all of that. That's gone. There's no way people are gonna pay top fees for 3 days in a row. I mean, I have to tell Scout that they're gonna pay me $8,000 some for a 3-day event. We're losing a lot of people with that. I even lost a Christmas party because I wanted to give them a business rate, but at this point, I don't have that exactly in place, so I'm using like full price, and no. I need a bar rental price. We got this new bar. Fred is suggesting 150, no outside bars allowed. Are people gonna pay 150 to use the bar? I don't know. That's questionable. I mean, the original thought he told me was 300, but I see now he's cut it back to 150, so I don't know. But people do not like to have to pay for extras. It's a huge problem. They don't want to pay for outdoor chairs. They don't want to pay for Shafari chairs. Anything that's upsell, they don't want to pay for. I just don't know how this bar, I don't have the answer for that. I'm just pointing it out. We also need, if people want to rent our tables and chairs, if they want us to take our tables and chairs and put them outside, I have nothing to go on with that either. I have no rental prices for that. That's a problem. I don't like making stuff up. I like things to be concrete, written down, and I don't have that. And also they talk about, they want to rent linens from us. It's another huge thing. That's a couple times a week. How much would you charge for linens? I don't know. And now we have a good supply actually of some decent linens that we could charge rentals, but I don't have any kind of fees for that. I think that's it. Those were the top things that I saw on, and Fred, I know Fred goes into like, you know, this whole preferred vendor list and how we could make some more profit from a vendor list, but that to me is not even like priority now. I need priority of, I need fees that are concrete. I need everything spelled out. I can't keep going to the mayor, to Ed. What am I gonna charge for this? Because I don't wanna do the wrong thing, but I can't keep asking them for every little thing, like approval. I need to have some leeway on being able to make some calls on my own, but I do need documentation of that. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Can we ask
So,
questions?
Kim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kim.
Questions of Kim?
Questions of council to Ms. Kim.
Kim, let me ask you, so as far as the lack of staffing, are you looking for additional full-time or part-time
No,
people?
part-time would be fine. 'Cause
So
it's
you
the
have-
weekends that are killing us.
So there's 7 part-time people, you would be looking for how many additional?
2 would be optimal, 1
Two
would be
more.
doable.
And I'm gonna piggyback on that. When Walt went from part-time to full-time,
Yeah,
and then from full-time to part-time,
yes.
did we backfill his full-time position by hiring another part-time?
No.
Well, I mean, so it's my understanding that those dollars are there, you just haven't been able to hire anybody, is that correct?
That's what I have been told.
Okay.
Jennifer, are you aware of the number of slots we have budgeted for the manor and where there are vacancies in those slots?
We have that 1 full-time, and I'm trying to verify if we have a part-time.
Yeah, in my mind, yeah, I'm tracking with you. That's going to be my next comment. In my mind, through budgeting, you have a full-time employee out on sick leave. That's 40 hours a week you're losing. You're backfilling that. And then Walt went from full-time to part-time. There's a part-time position. In my mind, it's a matter of hiring those. Secondly, a corporate rate structure, I think is a great idea. If you don't have people using it for an event space, then offer it to corporate. And usually corporations are going to use it during the day. It's a different
Exactly, when it's empty.
when it's empty.
We need to fill that space, yeah.
One suggestion, and I don't know if, I guess Ed would do this, go through Ed to do this. When I ran an event space in Rock Hill, National Linen, set up an account with National Linen. They deliver you clean linens, they pick up your dirty linens, and we made money on every tablecloth that was rented. It doesn't cost you a thing. They deliver to your linen closet, they pick up the dirty bin that's there, and you just tell them, I have 3 weddings this weekend, I need 4 87 rounds, whatever you need, that's what you order. And we made money every time the National Linen truck pulled up. So that's just an idea for you.
That's a great idea.
You don't have to launder them, you don't have to touch them. Bar rental, since we got the new bar,
Yeah.
has it been rented? Has it been used?
Well, no, because it's been used, yes, it was used last weekend for the first time. I did not tell those people last minute because I didn't know that the bar was, I'm not telling people that I've already paid
Sure,
up. I'm
absolutely.
not gonna add that
Yeah, yeah.
on to them because that doesn't feel fair, like
Yeah.
a good business practice. So new bookings, absolutely, they will be known, but I will need a price on that before. I can-
And then I appreciate what you're saying about outside space.
Yeah,
So we just need to come up with a fee for outside space.
it just
because
needs
if
to be improved, yeah.
in your mind, somebody's using the pergola.
Mm-hmm.
But to Walt's point, somebody is manually moving 200 chairs, setting those 200 chairs up, setting up whatever, but I'm only using the pergola. Well, for all I care, you could be using this building. It's the
Right,
same
right.
amount of manpower. So
Yes.
that comes at probably a higher fee than most people would immediately come to mind because it's very labor intense to use, whether it's the pavilion over by the soccer fields or the pergola. It's just
But there are
labor
those
intense.
that don't need anything. They don't want any furniture out there. They just want to have their ceremony, 3 people to watch and gone. That's what they want. So I don't have anything to offer. Like I just had somebody,
I think justice of the peace would be a good offer. But if they want to use the pergola, it's going to come at a cost. Probably higher than they think for 3 people to stand in that setting. I mean, the setting wasn't free. Using it's not free. Comes
I
at a cost.
mean, I can only imagine that people are using it when we're not open.
Sure.
You know, they can come at night. Who's going to know?
Yep.
You know, but when people inquire, I need to be able to say something.
And then Ed, are you going to, because I got some for you, are you going to?
Oh, absolutely, we got one.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, the issue with a fee for space, my concern has always been if you want it reserved, there has to be a fee associated with reserving it. I used to run into, picnic shelter rentals. All the time folks will say, well, what if I just come and there's nobody there? And I go, have at it. But if you go and somebody else is there, you can't ask them to leave if you didn't reserve it. And so planning accordingly. And so we had a situation this past week, very similar situation, and we had to make a decision, but we agreed that there needed to be a fee, even for a brief amount of time. Maybe it was only 20 minutes.
20, I think she said 20 minutes, yeah. And
And we said that for us to reserve it and plan for you to come out there, we got to have some minimum $100. Now, whether that's what it needs to be going forward, you folks will give us that direction. But I felt that there needed to be, a fee associated with it because again, my concern would be we open the floodgate to, well, I understand that you can come up and do that for free. I need you to hold it for me.
get it,
That's called a reservation.
not doing that.
And then I'm not sure what reservation system you're using, but if somebody's having a wedding in this facility and they want the rehearsal here, can you not block out the space for a rehearsal dinner?
I can. Yes, of course. The problem is, what if somebody now inquires to book that for a wedding? Now I have an hour free rehearsal given, and I have to say no to a wedding. That's not good. In my,
Well, I
well, I
appreciate,
was trained
yeah,
by, to say like,
Understood.
oh, no, we don't do that. We will always take, of course, the higher priced event, you know? So now in my mind, I'm like, well, how can I hold a rehearsal for you that's, because I just came up today, her wedding's in March. And she's insisting I hold her date for her rehearsal. I said, it's outside though. She said, but I might want to use the building for a dinner, but I'm not sure. Well, now I don't have a fee, I don't have for that situation, and I don't have the guarantee that she's even gonna do that, but I'm still gonna hold it for her, but somebody inquires about a wedding now, I have to say no. It's just not, it's not working. It's just not working. If we're trying to maximize our number of big ticket events, this isn't gonna work. So that needs an overhaul somehow.
So in the past, we would have just told them no.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean,
Or we would have said, for us to reserve it for you, you have to
you have to
rent
pay
it.
for it.
yeah,
Pay for it.
right.
Now, if you want to take the chance that nobody else rents it on Friday night,
They still have to
and
pay
we
for
get
it.
closer to it,
And that's what I said, 30 days before,
yeah,
if it's not, you know, if it's still available, then yeah, well, we can have that conversation and you can definitely have your rehearsal, whatever, but right now,
and technically, that's really just a goodwill gesture, at that point, but for planning, those of us who have had children get married,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean-
it's hard, you know, how do you wait till 30 days to decide if I'm gonna be able to have that space?
Yeah.
Simply, I don't take lightly that event space is not inexpensive anywhere. But there is a cost associated with heating and cooling and lighting and staffing a facility. There's just certain costs associated with that. And we need to minimally cover our expenses. And so that's always paramount in my mind. But the intent, from what I've heard, the intent isn't that this is a gratis facility. I mean, it's a fee structure, and you pay to use it. And what we want to make sure is that we're appropriately setting those fees at the right levels and the right circumstances. I really like listening to people who are in here doing it every day. I mean, I can regurgitate to you what the fees were in the last city I worked in. I can regurgitate what the fees were in the city I spent my career in. I mean, I can tell you those things, but what works in one location isn't always what works somewhere else. And this council has to make a decision of what is the purpose of this facility to the community. And when we say to the community, also know that we lease this facility an awful lot of folks who are not part of this community. They come here to do the event. And so one of the things that I would certainly recommend in your fee structure is that there is a discount for town residents. I have always operated in that environment, and because town residents have vested interest in the property. That's your decision, but as we work through the fee schedule, I can assure you that I will be recommending a discount to town residents.
So right now, when somebody wants the rehearsal here, what do you charge them?
they get an hour free. That's in the contract. So,
If it's available.
if it's available. But then we have the situation, if they're doing an indoor wedding, they get an indoor rehearsal. So now you're inside the building, so now we need staff, but that's still free. So,
And if somebody wanted the rehearsal dinner here,
yeah,
what would you charge them?
I don't have, the last time that happened was a couple months ago, and I went to Fred and said, what what am I gonna do? And he said, whatever the Friday fee is, that's what you gotta give them. And I said, well, that's not reasonable.
So in essence, you would have charged them $2,800
Yes, absolutely.
for a rehearsal
For a
dinner.
rehearsal dinner for 2 hours. And I did not do that. And I believe that there was one couple that had the rehearsal dinner, and I believe I charged them $100 an hour. It was like 2 hours. Because $2,700.
Yeah,
was
the
not-
only thing more aggravating than a bride 60 days before her wedding is her mother. So you got to be able to say, yes, your rehearsal dinner can be in this facility, or no, it can't. Or you're going to lose rentals. So I get that.
Somebody just told me today, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll know soon, hopefully, what.
And so that is the type of direction that we really need in establishing what are the circumstances that we may would discount a fee? Or do we set the fee very specifically so that we're not making decisions about discounting? But again, if we are, under what circumstances is in line with what council directs us to do? What is the general policy of the town and how we operate? We want to make sure that we're all on the same page relative to that. Because what we don't want is we don't want folks in the community, we don't want one mother of the bride saying, this is my circumstances, this is what I paid, and a month later, someone else under very similar circumstances paid something different. We need to be consistent, we need to be fair, but we also need to generate revenue. And so there's a balance in all of that. Unless you believe that it is the mission of the town that this is the most affordable place in a 60-mile radius, and we set our pricing structure that way. I mean, that's the direction we need.
Also something to think about, the active military, Fred made an active military discount of 5%. But anybody that's had military background is gonna ask me what discount will they get, because they've retired, but they're still in the military. That's just another thing to think about. 5% is not great. In my head, 10% would be more appropriate, but that's just my opinion.
Who came up with this rate structure?
That rate structure is very similar
It is
to what's in the ordinance.
But who came up with this?
I can't honestly answer that. That's the rate structure I was given.
Yeah, and that would have been being that this one is dated January 1st of this year, so that would have been the director, and all the add-ons on the bottom, there was some adjustment to that.
But council has not seen that, so
Not to my knowledge.
how?
How did that happen?
I mean, there's a rate structure that's different than our ordinance, and council hadn't seen it?
That's what it appears.
And Councilman McKendrick, that came out in discovery when myself and Ed come over looking at different processes over here.
I don't know how in the world that's called discovery.
Telling you the truth. That's where it come out. And
This is the rate structure that I was given. It said, this is what we're charging. I went to your ordinances, I pulled
It's
them up,
different.
and I knew that they weren't all matching. Some do, not
Some
all. And the ordinance says that the fees are as established by council. And
Yeah,
that's the
absolutely. I'm with you there.
Other questions of Kim?
Mr. Driggers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't go far. I appreciate your most recent comment that the facility needs to strike a balance between serving the general public and generating revenue. While our current approved budget is not online, please get that taken care of. Last year's final budget showed revenue for the manor of $246.85. Administration expenses of $288,777.49, and operational expenses of $114,844.92. That places this facility in a net loss position of $175,375.50, I believe, 6.
For 24, 25.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Ball reported on this. Thank you for that. That is an increase of about $40,000 from the prior fiscal year. I don't quite remember what it was, the one before that. But it's safe to say that we're going in the wrong direction. And I hear Mr. Walt and Ms. Kim stand up saying, we need more help, we need more help. Okay. We need more events and we need more revenue to offset these expenses. I think that's a fair statement to say. And Ms. Kim said earlier that there have been numerous people who have come and walked away. So you have a general idea of how many people have declined to rent the facility. But when this body asked a couple months ago how many events were booked, we can't get an answer. There's no calendar that can tell us how many events, whether they were paid, unpaid, comped, hidden, slid in some Sunday afternoon. I'm kind of at a loss for how we can sit here and talk about adding to the expense line, but not talk about increasing the revenue. You know, with this business, or this facility, and Mr. Driggers, I believe we've talked about this. It was an enterprise, it was set up in an enterprise fund, and then it got moved back into the general fund, and I've always taken the position that it was done that to cover up the losses, or to prevent having to do a transfer from the general fund to the enterprise fund to shore up the losses. And if council determines, and this should have a somewhat community involvement aspect, if council determines that this is a facility that's a loss leader, or that it's just that the town is just going to shore up the difference, then so be it. But I know that Councilman McKendrick and I have discussed this ad nauseum, that at least our collective goals, the two of us, I can't speak for anybody else up here, was to at least move the facility towards profitability. Do I personally believe that it's possible? I don't know. But of the 5 people sitting up here, at least in the most recent past, I've probably signed more contracts to lease facilities than anybody. And I can tell you that it's a little more complicated than this, but it's not that complicated. There are so many facilities that do exactly what we do. It would not be hard to get their fee structures, their rate structures, their add-ons. I get nickeled and dimed for tables and chairs and linens and microphones and power patches and house sound patches and internet connections. I mean, I can go on and on with the nickels and dimes that I've paid at various facilities, from downtown to Wilmington to Myrtle Beach to who knows where we're going to go next. So, this is something I have a little bit of experience in. We can clean this up, but we got to figure out a way to stop the bleeding. And, you know, one of the things you want to talk about, you know, just threw in a question for ChatGPT, not that ChatGPT's king, but not bad. Said, do facilities offer free rehearsals? Said yes, some do, some don't. Okay, fair enough, good, decent answer. I can tell you that when I've rented facilities, if there's a room that I want, if I want it, I have to reserve it. If it's being used for my production, then we pay full freight. If it's not, we pay what's called a setup rate, and it's usually about 50% of the going rate. If someone wants to use the facility, in my opinion, for a rehearsal dinner, they would potentially pay full freight for whatever it is. Or you can put it on hold. A lot of times you can put things on hold, and if another entity comes and contracts, you have a 48 or 72-hour right of first refusal. I see those all the time. Then you have to make a decision whether you contract or whether you walk or you get bumped. TV's the same way. I don't know if you've ever bought any advertising on TV. You can get what's called preempted. Somebody's willing to pay more money for the same spot. So you get bumped. Then you have what's called a make good. I'm not trying to compare TV to rental, but the point is, if someone comes in and says, hey, I want a 1-hour rehearsal, and then Ms. Kim has to turn away a wedding on a Friday night for 25, 28, 33, whatever the number is, that's a bad trade. It just is. So, you know, I'm more than willing to help draft some policy, to talk about this, to look at and share some of, hell, I can share some of the contracts I've signed, they're public record. I can share some of the experience that I've got negotiating with these individuals, the sales department. You know, but we got to get back to moving this facility towards a smaller red number. It may always be a red number, but we were there for a while. COVID derailed that. And now we're just kind of, we continue to drift down the wrong direction. So that would be where I would start, like, you know, a discount here, a discount there, a discount here. Maybe.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't move us in the right direction. But something's better than nothing. I also understand that.
And I think what's important for our staff that works here is that they believe that they either have direction or that they are empowered to make decisions under certain guidelines, certain circumstances. It's just hard to operate the business side of it and not know what those rules are. And now my response to that immediately is, well, the only rules we have are the rules that we already have in our ordinance. But we already know that those rules that are in our ordinance, we follow those sometimes, we don't follow those sometimes. We make exceptions sometimes, we don't make exceptions sometimes. And I'm not even debating the legitimacy of those. I'm just saying, you know, anytime, I mean, I think I shared this conversation with you. You know, I'm trying to remember. I got a call and it said, I think we need to make a decision. We're having to do something. I said, well, I think this is what we should do. Now, I know that in that ordinance, it does not say that the town administrator or the interim town administrator or in the future the town manager, it doesn't say that they have the authority to do that. It doesn't say that. It says that the director of the manor has the authority to do that. And that's the only person that in the ordinance that falls with. But we got to empower, we got to give people, no matter who's in these seats, we've got to give them those parameters and those guidelines and those thoughts, so we know, look, this is off limits. This is within the decision making. You know, for me, what's off limits? Free is off limits. Is because we can't sustain the property long term, by doing that. So if somebody wants to use the pergola, yeah, it's going to cost you $100 to go out and use it because we're going to hold it for you. And whether that number's 100 or it's 250, you folks will make those decisions. We're just saying we definitely need guidance. So what you said was you've got experience in these types of things. That's the expertise that we need. And so a next steps for us may be a working group that truly is sitting down and is pinning this, getting this down to paper that says this is where we're going to go. Everybody on this council brings different experiences and expertise to the table. And from a staff perspective, we are glad to have that expertise at the table because we don't have all the answers. I can tell you how I did it for 25 years somewhere else. I can tell you how somebody else does it today. But the phone call that I made this past week was this. Last week, I made a phone call to the folks in my former city, and I said, help me understand how you're doing. I mean, again, these are the same people, they were there when I was there. I said, help me understand how you're dealing with this. And they told me, they said, Mr. Driggers, here's the first thing you need to understand, is that rentals today, event space today is not what event space was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They said because the environment, the marketplace is 15 years ago, you maybe were having your wedding at a church. And you were looking for an event space to do your reception. And so the rehearsal wasn't needed. Nobody needed a space because you were doing the rehearsal over at the church. And then on the wedding day, you go to the church, you do all the things you're supposed to do, and then you go over to the reception facility. But today, more than not, is that it is kind of a turnkey environment. It's this venue environment that you walk in, you pay a fee, and everything is included. That's just kind of the market. And I think that's kind of what I was hearing Kim say as well, is that, you know, the add-ons, if we have add-ons that cost us extra, maybe those are the add-ons we got to pass those costs on. But those things that are already here and part of our facility, maybe it's part of what's included. Again, whether that's the right way or the wrong way, you're going to help give us direction on that. And I guarantee you, whether I call my folks that I work with over in Newberry, or I call the folks I work with over in Greer, or I talk folks where my friends are in other places, I know this. I get different answers everywhere I go, because every community is a little unique in what they're doing. Their competition is a little unique. Their business environment is a little unique. I've got colleagues that work in places that the business community doesn't want the town in competition with the private sector. And so they feel that they either have to have their fees at or above the private sector market, or they're so low below that that they're acknowledging that they're subsidizing that for residents in their community. And again, those are philosophical basis. People have to make decisions on policy to what you believe is the right thing for Blythewood. And so if we get that direction, whether it's by committee or it's by giving me direction and me sitting down with our staff and us pinning that and getting it to paper and bringing it back to you and saying, what do you think? But starting from scratch for us is nearly impossible without direction from you. I mean, we just have to have that direction. And you may say, we think the fees that we have in place are pretty normal.
This is pergola prices, and that's corporate prices.
Of what we have now. That's what you're using now. Okay. All right.
And these corporate prices are not reflected anywhere but right here. These corporate prices are not reflected here, really aren't published.
That does not reflect the outdoor pricing or the corporate pricing. That's why I just made copies of both of those things.
When was
Is this a
When was
proposed
this done?
fee schedule?
No,
What is
sir.
Now,
this?
this is what she's using.
No, sir,
Yes.
that's what they're using.
when was
So
this
it's
done?
something we've been using,
I think this
Seen
is,
this before?
It's not been approved by,
not in our structure.
but we're
So-
using
But
it.
it's what we've been using.
And this
Mr.
right,
Dirk-
yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. This
I'm s-
document,
When was this done?
This was
Which way?
prepared by Mr. Lehman about 30 days or so ago.
And how long has this been in effect?
or is it in effect?
No, this.
Oh, well, I'm going to say at least since January 1st, because that's what it's dated.
I
I didn't see a date
don't
on
see
it.
a date on it.
no, he's talking about the corporate structure, the
Oh, corporate, no, he's showing me the.
corporate,
No,
Ms.
when-
No,
Kim,
I'm talking about this.
oh,
It just says effective.
yeah.
No date on
So-
it. That's just what I was
The
given
fees
when I
and
started
On
this
the fee
job.
schedule
This was
page,
the
it does not
sheet
say
of
effective
prices that we
January
used.
2025 up here.
Did he snip this and put it in here, or you think that's when he did this whole document?
Have you seen that document prior to me sending it over to you prior?
No.
Okay, then it may be something he.
More recent.
More
All right, and Mr. Mayor, Council, I don't know how we jump off the dock on this, but I think a couple of things. I think we have to address the elephant in the room, which is we need to draw a line and say, First of all, there's a fee structure we follow. There's no deviating from this fee structure. If we are agreeing with your corporate structure, then let's agree to your corporate structure. But we also need to say there are no free events. There are no discounted events unless God himself appears and says it's free, because it's done by this person, this person, and there's no common answer other than the fact that we're hemorrhaging money from a facility that has regular, reoccurring expenses and not enough staff. So in order to get to a council-approved, dive-in, figure-it-out policy, we have got to rip the Band-Aid off and say, let's at least agree to the very basics of X, Y, and Z, and then you're not continuing to chase yourself to say, I'm afraid to make a decision. I don't know if I can make a decision. I don't want to make the wrong decision. It's
And Councilman, I am perfectly fine if that is the policy of council.
well, council has a policy, but we just don't
Miss-
follow it.
But let me offer this.
Well.
In my belief, there are times that there are
Yeah, I want to
events
talk.
in the community's best interest.
No, go ahead, sir. Finish. I want.
That there are events that are in the community's best interest. And so when those occur, we have comped this space. When Sheriff Clark came and said, I want to address the community, we provided this space for him to come in and use it, and people were invited to use it. There was no charge to anybody, and yes, we paid our staff to be here. So, we kind of ate that. And I think there are other community events, so I'll give you one that's coming up in the future. Department of Natural Resources is going to be involved in redoing the floodplain maps for Richland County. There's going to be a significant impact to those changes in our area. They were looking for a location in Richland County to do that public meeting. I asked them to come and do it here, and I provided the space to them for free because I feel it's important for our community to have easy access to come in and ask questions about that when it comes up. So, but you may say, Ed, we don't really think we ought to be doing that.
Well,
There should be some.
but you didn't do that on a Friday night at 6 o'clock.
No, sir. Those are in the week, those are daytime, those are not in our premium, and we know what our premium times are. I mean, we know wedding season, we know when we're most likely to book this space, and no. And, you know, I think somebody else referred to a comment that I had made, is that for community events, I think those considerations need to be made. For private events, it's a rental facility.
So we can do this. And Mr. Mayor, you may be getting ready to address this, but we can do this. We can go through this exercise. We're here on a special called meeting on a Monday night for council to agree. I can show you documents that council agreed upon. I can show you a policy that council agreed upon, and we voted. I was actually serving on council when we did it. So my question is, why are we going to go through this exercise if what we do is not followed?
So,
I mean, no, that's a real question.
I got it. So, Councilman McKendrick,
And
to
what is the
address-
repercussion of not following it?
So, yes, sir, you were correct. I was about to step on that. So, and I asked him to come up because in the discovery of these documents, my directive to staff was to follow what's in the ordinance. That this document has not been approved by council because I sat on council when we approved the actual document in the ordinance, which was, I believe, in 2022. So I instructed staff to stop using the corporate rate until we can get together. You all see that, and that's what Ed provided. So that's what Kim and her team diverted back to, using this immediately because this was not approved as a rate structure for the manor.
So, Kim, when's the last booking you did
For what?
for this facility? When's the last time you took a
Any
reservation?
booking, the most recent one?
Yesterday.
What was it?
Did you use this?
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
It
that
was-
is
I booked,
exactly the
like,
opposite.
2 weddings and a party and, yeah.
That's exactly the opposite of what the mayor is saying.
That's the regular rate sheet for.
It is not.
What is that one?
This is the one approved January
Yeah,
1st.
that's the one I used.
That is not a council-approved rate sheet. That's my point. Here you go. Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that, but you understand you have a staff member saying she's booking off of this.
Because that's what I've been given.
And you're saying you've
gave it to
instructed
you?
everybody to book off of this.
Watch this. No,
Can we wait
no.
a minute?
No,
I mean, just
listen.
give me a sec.
Councilman Brock asked who gave you that.
The director of the manor.
The one that's in this packet, correct?
I didn't get that packet.
The one that says effective January 1,
That was,
2025?
yes,
And-
yes.
Okay.
the same
And
one.
that is also what's posted on our website.
Yes, it is.
Also, when you compare this to what's in the ordinance that was first handed to us at the beginning of this meeting, the only difference that I can see is when you are at room B and C on a Friday and Sunday, or Friday or Sunday night, 6 hours basic rate is 1,000, whereas our ordinance indicates that it should be 1,300. And then for a 12-hour session, it is displaying on the internet as 1,300 when it should show 1,800. The other part that's missing from your website or this piece of paper that was handed out earlier is the 2-hour max, from what I can tell, as well as the amphitheater rates is not posted on the internet, from what I can tell. And also, all the footnotes, I haven't had a time, we haven't had time to go through to make sure that those were also indicated in the ordinance as it is posted on the website. I also believe that these rates came about when the former director went through, and I feel like she went and did some comparative analysis, but I believe that she was raising the question, and I believe that came up during that budget session, 2024 through 2025, but I'm not sure if that ever got completed or whatnot. So I don't know if that's where these figures are coming from. I would like to ask if these figures are still, to Councilman Brock, with regards to all his experience, if this is still reasonable. I would also like to compare that to how much we're booking, because that goes along with your staffing, because if we have turned the corner and have become a valuable, booking event space, then because previous we were not, and that was the crutch. And now maybe we're turning the curve to where we're becoming more, booking. You're doing an excellent job with
feels like
regards to,
I did book an event today.
yeah.
I rented
And you had
Town Hall
4
Field.
showings the other day or whatnot. So
Yeah.
if that's happening, then you've got to be able to, operations, you've got to be able to provide, that demand.
This does not
So-
also agree with the pamphlets that have been given out. That has some different add-ons we're not giving out those pamphlets anymore,
Okay.
because there are add-ons on the bottom.
So there's a lot going on here, because
Thank
we
you.
got number one, pricing, that's, and this isn't gonna be resolved tonight, and also, I would say the staffing pieces, because you've got a significant key player that's not here with us at the moment, and somebody's gotta fulfill that role, and it sounds like someone's gonna be able to support you in that manner. So, those are the 2 main things that I'm hearing at the moment. All of the rest is a lot of detail, and I don't know that we can get through that tonight.
Councilwoman Page,
So,
if we as the 5 of us can agree, this right here, we should not be looking at. Council did not approve this. To the mayor's direction, the manor staff should not be using this. So can we discount this document so we can at least get rid of one?
And then what would they be
It's-
using?
I don't
so-
care if
so
it's on the
we-
website,
so-
take it down.
So here's what we gotta do, Mr. Driggers. Mr. Driggs, let's ring this
What would
back
they
in
be
for a
using?
second. Let's make sure,
Yes.
all right, I'm gonna give some directive for tomorrow. Let's make sure that I think it was January, but you double check me, I think it was January 2022. The 2022 document that's in our ordinance, let's make sure that the staff over here has that immediately, that document immediately. Let's make sure that our staff, Ms. Jordan, corrects those documents on our website so that everything is showing at our budget to the website. I heard that earlier. Let's do the research and make sure that we find those other areas where this has been posted. There's a lot of, yep, post it, print it. Let's do the research and catalog that so we can pull it immediately and make sure that we're using that standard document.
Is this where,
Yeah, I got that. I seen that. I told you I'll stop you, take all of them out.
So this and
That is
this,
actually the easy part.
kill your monkey.
Yes, I know. That's, yeah.
Yeah, this, Mr. Mayor, was this, correct?
Yeah,
And
that's
you instructed for this to be,
all that, take all that. So we found a bunch of those boxes. I told them, let's get all that, corral it, let's get it going because it's too much discrepancies in it. And we done, and Councilman McKendrick and fellow council, Ed and myself coming down here has really helped staff. And we moved from the finger pointing to quickly identifying where we need to get to, where to get staff to the point where they're comfortable at making these decisions. I know Ed does one thing with them, what do you recommend? Instead of us giving them those directives, what do you recommend? So it's a lot of inner coaching, but there's a lot of hands-on that we end up having to come down and actually take these things and find these documents, and we got to get rid of them.
and then just to pile on.
The contract.
Just another thing is the whole contract
Yeah.
has the wrong staff email address on it.
Yep.
To contact, that, I mean,
And so
We
those
can-
have now been provided to our
Ed,
town
to
attorney.
attorney, yeah.
And whether or not those are the contracts we want to continue to use with some modification, because they need some modification, or do we look for something that a neighbor has that maybe is better than what we have, and it would work perfectly well for us, we can do either of those. But my communication with our staff here is that every event in this space must have an agreement, must have a contract.
Mr.
And-
Trigger's question, have there been events in the past that have not complied with the policy to have contract and proper insurance, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman McKendrick, you mentioned a little earlier that we have to get away from $0-based events, correct?
yes, sir.
Mr. Driggers, have there been $0-based events over the last 12 months in this facility
Yes.
and throughout the park?
Yes.
Is there anywhere in our ordinance that allows for that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I didn't think so either. All right, I think it's pretty clear that action item A is not going to be resolved tonight. We could be here till 6:30 a.m. and probably not get anywhere. So to move this meeting forward, I'm going to make a motion to form a, what do you want to call it, Pete?
Ad hoc committee?
An ad hoc committee comprised of myself and Councilman McKendrick to research and bring forth proposals concerning manor fees, policies, and procedures.
All right, thank you, sir. You read my mind on my notes here. Motion made,
I'll second it.
motion made, motion second to create an ad hoc committee with Mayor Pro Tem Brock, Councilman McKendrick. Any discussion?
I do.
Discussion, Councilwoman Page.
I do think it would be good for us to also add in pricing for our new facility over
Oh,
here by
yeah,
the
of
soccer?
course.
Because that would be a great venue for a rehearsal dinner and a quaint, really, yeah, you could really do that. Okay. Okay, great.
I think it's safe to say that Councilman Kendrick and I will be speaking to everyone, Fred, Mr. Driggers, Ms. Kim, Mr. Walton, and whoever else about this throughout the entire process. Councilman Kendrick, how long would you think that we would need before we have something?
That would be the only thing I would add in discussion. For the sake of our staff, I think this has to be done quickly.
2 weeks?
Correctly, but quickly.
2 weeks?
I don't know that
don't know if I
I'm
can do it in
talking
2
quickly
weeks.
that quick.
30 days?
30 days,
30 days?
And
30?
at least
When's the October meeting?
At least bringing something back to council that,
So October meeting?
October 27th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks,
Yes,
7, 6,
agreed.
that's plenty, yep.
All right, so we'll
But-
put that as, go ahead, I'm sorry, Ms. Page still have the floor
I s-
discussion.
But I still think the personnel or the FTEs or part-time FTEs, support for them, that's a separate item from the pricing, documentation, and posting of information. So I'm not sure what the suggestion there is, but just going back, I may be working with Ms. Jennifer and understanding who do we have on payroll now, and then going ahead and getting some fill-in spots, even if it might be just an interim or whatnot. So,
Well, is it safe to say, Mr. Driggers, that rentals will drive part-time
It does.
employees?
Absolutely. Our part-time staff that come in and work the events, those are based on the number of events and how many hours we're trying to cover.
Okay.
Where we are at a gap is a full-time 40-hour position that's not able to be with us right now. And then we have the gap between the 30 hours and the 40 hours. So we got that 10-hour gap that's there. And then the part-time position. So technically, Walt is in the part-time position. I believe what we have staffed is a full-time director, a full-time assistant director, a full-time supervisor, and a part-time employee. Those are our regular positions.
those are what is budgeted.
Everything else, as I understand, would be those part-timers who come in and work the events.
I have a question. Walt, would you mind coming to the podium? You're not in trouble.
Yes, sir. I'm good. I'm in trouble. I'm good.
No, never.
Come on.
You mentioned earlier that I believe upon the conclusion of this meeting, you're going to be setting up for the chamber breakfast in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long from soup to nuts does it take from the minute you set the first table and chair out to the minute you put the final chair and table out and you've cleared it out? Approximate time.
So basically, about 3 minutes. So I'm taking this table,
No. I'm talking about when you start to when you
To
finish.
flip the room.
Like 2 hours, 3 hours, to set it up, have the event, tear it down.
by myself about 3.5 hours.
Okay, so let's just round it up and say 4 hours.
4 hours.
Okay. How is that event billed?
I think the chamber.
No, I know. How is it billed? Are they billed X number of dollars per hour, or are they billed for just a flat fee?
Flat fee.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
Because I can tell you the minute I start using a facility, and if there's labor involved, the second somebody steps on that floor to the second they stepped off, I'm being billed. These are the problems that we can easily identify, because if you're getting paid for 4 hours, you're probably getting paid more than we are actually receiving from that rental. Problem. And there's a lot of these looking back. This is what we're going to clean up. This is what we have to clean up.
60 hours. And in the short run,
Per hour?
in the short run, if my math is correct, and Jennifer, you can help me if
We're losing
if I'm
big
wrong.
time.
We have 60 hours that we need to backfill. 60 hours a week.
40 plus.
I had it 40 plus the 20, because I thought we had 2 part-time.
Well, I wasn't considering part-time, you're right.
Okay, so 60 that determine how you want to do it. Do you want 3 part-time people at 20 hours? Do you want to go find a setup person at 40 hours? Does this facility demand that somebody's here 8 hours a day for flipping? Or do you want to use the part-time that you
No,
make their phone ring
To
and
answer
get
your
help?
question, no, we don't need a 40-hour person
Right.
to be here. I need a person that when I walk in the building, just like if I had a person this evening,
Absolutely.
I'll be fine.
You'll have a person this evening. Staying healthy.
I don't have a person. You know, every now and again, that person might be Kim.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, like I said, everybody else is full-time employee, and, you know, that's basically what we're working with. But at the end of the day, like Kim said, we still have to make sure that people walk in this building, that they appreciate our building, and when they walk out, they appreciate it also. So that's the business that we're in, and that's what we're trying to do.
Can I ask a question with regard to the part-time employees? And I understand that you say that a lot of them have full-time positions, but
Yes.
but for part-time employees that want to work here, should
Yeah.
they not have flexibility versus if they are working a 9 to 5? So that, to me, is a problem in the hiring of the particular part-timers, because if I'm working a 9 to 5, then I can't be here to set up for a breakfast event. So then why am I part-time and kind of taking up space on payroll? So I think that might be something that we need to look at, because
And
it
because
doesn't
of,
serve
I'm
a
sorry,
purpose.
and because of,
There are some
yeah.
general management issues that we just need to be on the same page about. And I think that's where those conversations about how do we best utilize during, the Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 time frame.
Sure.
How do we do things in that environment versus what we do when someone needs to come in at 6 a.m. or somebody needs to be here till midnight at night for various events. We are the only people who have to figure that out.
Right.
Everybody in this business deals with that. And so best management practices, one of the first things that I'd like to do is I'd like to send Kim to some of my colleagues around the state and say, go visit with their event folks. But she can't leave right now. I couldn't do that if I wanted to. I may have to get them to come and visit her here. But that's what best management practices. There's some people who do this really, really well. And we just need to learn from those guys. And we can, and we will.
And also to answer your question, if you see the schedule, I don't know if Kim gave you guys a schedule, for all the events that we have the month of September. When I first started here, there was a crew that came in after every single event. Like this event right here, when it was over, I would walk out the door because 4 people were coming in the next morning to tear this down and set for the next one.
Okay.
But we don't have that anymore. That's,
Even with those part-time people that we
no,
have, we don't
because
have.
none of them, they only work events. They do not work anything else except
But
events.
this is an event. You're tearing down from a town council meeting, which town council has
Right.
a put back number in the budget for
Right.
what we do, and you have an event in the morning. So why wouldn't you pull on those part-time people to be here as soon as this meeting is over?
Not available.
There are some that don't even sign up for the whole month. Like, yeah, we have a whole month to go past, and will be a couple that don't sign up at all to work. So there needs to be in
Now
place,
that- y'all
some
need
kind
to
of
put that
guideline
down,
for that.
yeah,
You've got
that's
to
an
work
issue.
so many days per month.
Or you have a bigger pool of
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
do want to pick up
That would
shifts.
Be
I mean,
great too. Like, I pictured teenage boys on
Absolutely.
the weekend to knock this stuff out. Like, they could do it so quickly.
absolutely,
That's what I pictured.
yeah.
All right, you got a motion on the table?
We got a motion and a second, and we're still in discussion. I hadn't lost track, we're still in discussion. Any further discussion? We have a motion to form a subcommittee, a working group, ad hoc committee, to look at the rate structures at the manor and present back something to the council at the October meeting. What's that date? I want to say it for the record. 27th, October 27th.
Mr. Mayor, it was to address the manor fees policies and procedures.
Okay.
All 3.
All
Yeah,
right, well.
everything in discussion item, action item A, sorry.
No problem, sir. Stand corrected. The committee will discuss set manner fees, policies, and procedures according to action item A. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. And just another note on that, I know I gave directive to staff, so that's the first thing tomorrow that I want staff to work on is those items to get you all an email as soon as possible with some completions on those directives on removing that material that we discussed, Mr. Driggers. I want that emailed to council with the update by close of business tomorrow. I feel like that's something that staff can get done really quick. Next item on the agenda, action item B. Action to decide on granting the 7,500 H-tax recommendation to the South Carolina Women's Open Pro-Am. Mr. Driggers, you want to?
Yes, sir. I've provided information to members of council regarding this. I've had a few folks call and ask me a couple of questions as well. I apologize. If it is council's desire that we would make the appropriation, I will say that there was confusion relative to the application, and I'm not pointing fingers at the applicant or us in processing the application, other than to say the request came in with both events on the same form. And so I think that created some confusion of, what are we working with? Yes, indeed, there was follow-up relative to two separate applications. We absolutely acknowledge that. We think that it is appropriate that council should consider the $7,500 request as you would have in the budget process previously. It just was not made available for you to do that. If council desires to award that request at that level or any level below that, there are sufficient resources in our hospitality tax fund. And so I would recommend that if that's your direction you want to take, is that we would transfer $7,500 from the H-tax and transfer that to account 23-5110-375, and that is what we refer to as the tourism-related account, and that's where all other events just like this that you have considered in the past, that is where those are paid from. And so we only appropriated those dollars, and I can remind you, in that we appropriated $5,000 to the Women's South Carolina Golf Association, $5,000 to RibFest, $5,000 to BHS, $5,000 to WHS, and $500 to the Ag and Art Tour. And so that appropriation and what we transferred into the line item was that $20,500 for each of those events. And so that's why I communicated that I could not make that payment without action of council because I had no line item to pay it from.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
In the interest of time, to get us to discussion, I appreciate what Mr. Drigger sent out. We talked about this at the last council meeting. I have talked to the applicant outside of the meeting. I would make a motion that we pay the South Carolina Pro-Am $5,000, recognizing the application could have been confusing. There could have been some confusion on staff's part. Council was not afforded the opportunity to vote on the original application, and the applicant indicated she had spent money toward this event. I told her I was going to recommend that amount, and she was agreeable to it.
All right, thank you, sir. There's been a motion made to recommend for approval $5,000 instead of the original $7,500 in H-tax request for the South Carolina Women's Open Pro-Am. I'll be looking for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Second made. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Discussion, Ms. Fripp.
Moving forward, will the council have the opportunity to review the applications? Because I feel like had we had that, then we would have recognized that there were 2 applications. And so what is the process moving forward? Because since I've been on council, I've not had the opportunity to review an application.
Mr. Driggers, I can help you out on this one. Well, you haven't been here for this. I can help you out on this. I'll follow on this one for you. The answer to your question, Ms. Fripp, is historically, there, and I believe Councilman McKenrick and I worked extensively on this policy. We actually have an SAT, LAT, and HTAX fund allocation policy. I believe that we drafted it. I drafted most of it anyways.
I didn't know that we had committees, but okay.
We've had one ad hoc committee, and now we're on number 2.
Okay.
Historically, we would review every ATAX and HTAX application on an individual basis for amounts and merit. And they ranged anywhere from, at one point, I don't know, a few $1,000s up to $25,000 per event. We nipped that in the bud pretty quick a few years ago, and we capped it out at $7,500 for a first-time event and $5,000 for a repeating event, assuming they were approved. You were correct, Ms. Fripp, in that I do not remember seeing any applications come across our desk. I don't even know if the application period was opened in January. I don't recall ever hearing that in the meeting that HTAX and ATAX applications were open. Somebody may correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think so. So, the answer to your question is, historically, yeah, we would review them, and sometimes we might, I believe at one point, and Councilman McKinnick or the mayor may be able to help me out on this, we actually had a special meeting just to address these applications because we would invite the applicants to come and address council. And Councilman McKinnick and I had a town hall when we told everybody that we were going to chop their funding down 70 to 80%, and there were some mad people sitting in that audience. There's a couple people out there nodding their head right now because they were mad as hell at us. But that's okay. We also asked them how many events wouldn't happen if they didn't get their full freight. Not a single person raised their hand either. And as you see, the events continue to go on. So, long-winded answer, we should be looking at every single one of them.
So those that we approved in the budget, they never had to resubmit an application. We just approved them
That's a good
because
question.
these are the ones that were already, or that we had approved the prior year.
Well, ATAX, I know, submitted applications, and the ATAX Advisory Committee, which we're required to have by state statute, that group did indeed meet, they reviewed those applications, and they made a recommendation. That would have been the funds that went to the,
That's the 35% state-required tourism dollars that we have to spend.
Correct.
That's the
not what
only
I'm
thing
talking about.
ATAX, I believe, ATAX committee addresses.
That's not what I'm talking, okay, but go
but
ahead.
those are dollars that went to the Lake Murray group.
Yeah,
And they were the only applicant. So they did apply for the funds. They presented to the committee, and the committee voted to recommend that, and that was placed in your budget. And I'll take responsibility for that oversight because I didn't know that this thing existed. I mean, another staff member sent this over, and I went, that's
new to
pretty
you.
detailed on what we're supposed to do, and that's not what we did.
Right.
But we did put it in the budget, and we did discuss it, but we didn't follow this, and we should.
Well, in your defense, unless there were applicants, in this case there was a minimum one who applied for funding that we don't know about, then it looked to me like a rollover. I would be curious
That's what I was talking about.
if the entities that are receiving these funds actually did fill out an application. I would actually like that question answered.
And the others on the HTAX applications were filled out for those because those are, we have that.
Okay, then that answers my question. That answers my question. But was,
There were two separate applications for the golf folks and there was one for the others. Yeah.
I'm just curious if the,
But we didn't get anything, we didn't believe that we had anything new.
and is
in
that
this
because,
cycle. The new would have been the program. Yes,
So
sir.
the old
and
ones
is that
don't have to
because they
reapply?
weren't properly advertised, or we just didn't get any
Yeah.
new applicants?
I personally, I can inquire, but I don't personally know the answer to what our process was of asking people or notifying the public that they were open.
Fair enough.
Typically do that on our website, that there's an open enrollment.
Yeah, I can answer questions if needed, I don't mind. But, yeah, I work with Daniel closely.
If you're gonna talk into the mic.
I worked with Daniel closely. They were open, I believe it was January 15th to February 15th. And they were in our document center. And then we also sent them out to who applied previously. Daniel didn't direct me to put them on social media or anything. And I will say too, it's also a bit of a confusing process because Blythewood Historical Society Museum applies for their events with the H-Tax form, but they get put into the other funding. So they don't technically have to fill out that form and go through the reporting process because they're not in H-Tax. It comes from another fund.
Comes from local accommodations.
So, Jordan, Ribfest filled out an application, turned it in, they're approved, okay. South Carolina Golf, the invitational that has now happened. To get their 20%, their final report is coming to you,
Yes,
and we only gave them 80% upfront,
yes.
and that policy, Ed, that you have,
Says that's what we do.
says y'all make sure the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed.
The policy actually states that it goes to the town administrator to review and approve. Yeah, we've
Well-
delegated that to you.
Right, so,
Table, and it was never approved.
so what Daniel has had me do was write the report and in the header say from town administrator. I would give it to Daniel, he would read through it, sign it off, and then I would file it into the system.
And then the 20% check would be written.
Correct.
Okay, great.
And
Perfect.
that is not an unusual delegation.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a pretty routine, you'd see.
Which is what we found out, the original ad hoc committee found out. Most places do not, their council doesn't discuss the last 20%. It's an administrative function, so.
Jordan, just so you know, I did speak to Daniel yesterday. Your story checks out.
Thank you,
good.
Jordan.
No worries, thank you.
All righty, thank you. Any further discussion? You have a motion to approve on the floor. Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. Next, we move to executive session per written South Carolina Code 30-4-70. One item this afternoon for the public to item A, receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege, and we'll be discussing accounting services this afternoon. Be looking for a motion. Actually, I can, if, we didn't have it in for a workshop, but ma'am, I'll pause my motion. I'll give you the floor if you. Go ahead, ma'am. I don't stop the public.
So my name is Tricia Hovis, and I live in Blythewood. I'm going to put my glasses on. A question about the meeting tonight about the fees for the manor. In my opinion, I don't know how this was allowed to happen, how we got to this place. There are a lot of educated people up here. There are people with business acumen, people with accounting experience, financial experience, corporate experience, in the nonprofit, working for the state with a ton of great ideas and an understanding of how you run the books and you set a fee schedule. Everything I've heard earlier is really out of Business 101. And the other thing would be the stress that Kim and Ward described. I think that's almost a health issue. Can you imagine being working under that kind of stress and having to have people look at you. If you've ever been a waiter or a waitress, everybody should do that once in their life just so they know how that is. So I'm not really expecting an answer, but I would like to say as a member of the public, it's a little disappointing to know that we have gotten to this place. And my second question is it accurate that the budget is not on the website?
That's accurate.
Okay. So I'm not sure that that aligns with campaign promises about transparency. I mean, the budget is a transparent tool that the public can use to help understand some of the reasons that perhaps we give money to certain entities, what money has been allocated. The budget is a pretty, it's a fibrous document that really guides almost every decision that you make up here. So that's my first concern was how did we get here with the manor? And I don't want to be critical because I think there's a lot of talent. I'm just not sure if it's being used. And the second one, I would really like to see the budget up on the website. So thank you for allowing me to talk.
Thank you, ma'am. All righty, motion on the floor for executive session. It's been seconded. Any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, no, it hadn't. Looking for a second.
Who made the initial motion?
Councilman McKendrick made this. You didn't approve? Okay, cool. Councilwoman Fripp.
All right, I'll second.
Second made by Mayor Pro Tem Brock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. We move to executive session.
Mr. Mayor, as part of executive session, can you please invite Mr. Hobbs into executive session?
Yes, sir. So for the record, Mr. Hobbs will be joining us for executive session.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. To reconvene in open session.
So move.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it. Members of council, at the conclusion of executive session, are there any items requiring a vote? Hearing none, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I did want to hand out, I mentioned earlier the invoicing for the fiber optic.
Yes, sir.
This will be on your agenda on the 22nd, is that, I think is what it is. And I wanted to go ahead and get this in your hands, but we will also include it with the agenda packet for that evening, for that meeting. And I didn't want you to
Mr. Driggers, I believe I emailed you today asking you for another invoice. If you have those,
Yes, sir.
you may want to pass those out.
Yes, sir. I got an invoice relative, request for invoice regarding recent event, and I have that as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Motion made and second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays?